Welcome to the Don't Call It Small Business Podcast, powered by Foreman & Associates, LLC, a consulting and professional development services firm. I'm your host, Natasha Foreman. Our podcast provides professionals and organizational leaders with helpful advice, tips, and business news that you can use for training, development, strategic realignment, and more. We examine the tough questions and issues impacting our businesses, households, and communities. If you like what you hear and find the content useful, please share us with your inner circle. Now that we've covered that and you've learned a little about us and why we do what we do, let's get to work. Join us for today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. I'm excited to be here with you guys, episode 86. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to be talking about hobbies. It's hobby time. Hobby time. I'm getting myself hyped up, listening to music. Hey, if you guys remember last week on episode 85, we talked about being intentional. And so I hope that you guys are being intentional with how you're spending this time. There's a quote that I want to share with you guys from Bill Malone that says, "Hobbies are great distractions from the worries and troubles that plague daily life." There's another quote from Rika Dwevetti. I hope I didn't butcher the name. It says, "Make time to follow your passion and never let your hobbies and interests take a back seat." So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. How many hobbies do you guys have? Do you have any hobbies? If you don't, we're going to make sure you have some. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We're going to make sure of it. I was reading an article and it really made me think. I was like, wow, there are some folks that really don't have hobbies. And how do you then use that part of yourself? How do you how do you tap into the essence of that child? Where's that inner child, or that creativity that's not tied to a paycheck, right? I think a lot of times we end up using all of our analytical and creative and all that energy for the greater good of someone else than for ourselves, right? We're doing it for our clients, our customers, our managers, our bosses, the companies we work for, the companies that we own. But where are we refilling for ourselves, right? So I have some hobbies. I've also picked up some new hobbies. But when I think about over the years, I've had hobbies as far as working out, and I worked out even not just for exercise. I just did it because I loved it. And I remember when I took up boxing, and and then I took up cycling, and I plan on getting back into cycling. And I took up cycling, and what I'm doing now, which is really interesting, is I have picked up crocheting. I would have never thought myself to be a crocheter. Now, when I was little, I always wanted to learn how to knit, but I've started crocheting, and I know that I haven't really been doing it much as of late, and I did put that on the back seat for some other hobbies. So you can kind of be hobbied out, so you have to plan your hobbies. But picking up these foreign languages using Duolingo. I took Spanish in high school and college. I really wasn't serious about it. And I think it's because it's just some of the ways in which how my teachers were sharing it. It was different than how my friends who spoke Spanish it wasn't as engaging in the classroom. I didn't feel as I didn't like it as much in the classroom. It was so formalized. And what's interesting is I sit back and how I was taught Spanish, the formal Spanish in the 1980s, is so different than Spanish now. Like, I'm like, come on, if you guys would have taught it this way in this terminology, and I know language has evolved over the years. How we used to talk in the 80s is totally different than how we talk now. But I am very grateful for those that have invested in the Duolingo app to provide those lessons using native speakers in different countries so that you can pick up the accents and the dialects and pick up the nuances and things of that nature and understanding the inflections and tones. And so with that, I've jumped back into my Spanish, and it's amazing how much I remember and recall from, college and from, middle school and high school. And then what I've actually been able to retain in my lessons. And then I'm also having to get back into my Swahili. I was taking Swahili. It took for 2 years in undergrad, and I had put it on the back seat, and it's like, okay, that's just gonna sit there and that it'll atrophy. So to get back in and to work on that, and then I decided to explore French. And French has some of these commonalities, of course, because it's Latin based as well with Spanish. So sometimes I'll confuse myself, and I have to be mindful of that. Okay, wait a minute, this is French and this means this. It's not Spanish. So I have to untangle that. And then I've found myself doing pretty good with Scottish Gaelic. I never thought, like when I clicked on it to take the class, I was like, okay, this is going to be a doozy. But it also has that Latin based, and so although it's definitely different than the other two, and I think that's probably why I probably am doing a little bit better with my Gaelic than I am with my French, is because there is these, the accent is definitely different. But I'm doing pretty good with that. I had picked up Vietnamese. My struggle with my Vietnamese, however, is unlike the other three languages, the Vietnamese does have, although it's connected with French, it does have the character. I have to be more intentional with the writing the letters and making sure they have the proper accents and symbols. So doesn't really allow me to learn it conversationally on the go as I can with the other three. Like, I have to write the words and pay attention to it in order to be able to retain it and to be able to recall it when I see it. So it does take a longer time, which is the same thing that I've noticed with Arabic and Hebrew. So I have placed those three. Those three are going to wait. I'll start trying to focus on those next year after I have done better at really grasping these other core ones, so that as those other ones I've gotten more confident with the other ones, I can then bring in the new ones one at a time. So those are something I'm doing hobby-wise. Other hobby is genealogy. So I have become very fascinated in the life stories of my family and how my family's stories are interconnected with other families across the country and around the world. And so I have been engaging with various platforms and groups, and my friend Tiffany has years ahead of me. She's been working in that realm for years, and so I've been able to come to her and ask for various resources, and she shared resources, especially resources that are dealing with Louisiana, which a large core of my mother and father's families are both from or were for extended periods of time. So I shouldn't say from, because our families, are from Africa. But as far as here in the Americas, a lot of them were born and raised there in Louisiana and some other states. And so Tiffany has a strong lineage there as well. And so she shared information with me. And so those have been great resources. So genealogy has been an amazing hobby of mine. Let's see, what else? Sometimes I try to dabble with painting. I know several years ago I had picked it up. I like to color as well. So I like coloring with the colored pencils and crayons, and so that is a great reprocessing, recycling, re-engaging, re-energizing of my energy and my mind. I love doing that. The little kid in me just comes out and giggles with glee whenever I color. And what else is it? I'm trying to think. Oh gosh, there's a few other things I like to do. Oh, I'm into puzzles. So I'm not really into crossword puzzles. I like Sudoku and word search. I like my eyes to try to search for things and to search for patterns. So I'm into doing that. And so there's oftentimes I'll have one of those books in my car, especially if I'm waiting in my car for an appointment or something. I'll pull out one and let my brain process. And so that's the way that analytical side can kick in. So I like doing things where I can be both creative and analytical, where my brain can try to solve a problem at the same time. My brain can be free to just flow and just let things just unfold and be as they're going to be. And it's not about perfection, it's just about expression. So that is something I like to do. Several years ago, before I got injured, I was trying to pursue a goal of doing a triathlon, and it's a sprint triathlon, so they're shorter distances but they're fast. And I had went in and got a swim coach, and I had already really been ramping up my cycling, so I was strong with the cycling. I knew what my thing that I was going to have to really work on was my running, because although I grew up as a sprinter, I did not grow up as a distance runner. So even though the triathlon sprint is roughly around 3 miles, for a lot of sprinters, that is long distance for us. And so having to condition my body and my knees to deal with that pounding was one of the hurdles that I experienced. And so I actually overexerted my body in a lot of training and caused some issues. Anyway, I'm not done pursuing that. I'm just having to recalibrate myself. And I'm not placing it on age. I'm just placing it on just wear and tear of trying all these different things in life, and your body's just like, hey, you have to remain conditioned. You can't do a start and stop and then think you can just jump back on. And thinking about how that is processed in your body, like, oh goodness, it's just sometimes that resistance, it pushes back. So for a few years, I was really involved with sports cars and tracking cars and being on the racetracks. I've always been the need for speed kind of girl. I was the car girl, growing up, and dabbled in different things, and always enjoyed tinkering around on cars. And I always enjoyed when my dad and my uncle and my grandfather would let me, get my hands dirty with the oil and the different lubricants and handing them the different tools, and they let me get underneath the vehicles and see what it was they were working on and how they did different things. And so when I was married, I had the opportunity of having a Porsche and having my Porsche on the Road Atlanta track. And it was an amazing experience to take it out there and just really see what my car could do. And boy, howdy, I had fun out there. And I had gone to Ford Motorsports Park in Utah. That was a great experience. That was a gift that my then husband had shared with me, and we both were out there. I went for one day, he went for two. I was exhausted after the first day. I just didn't have any more in me for the second day. And I was also able to, my first actual tracking experience was with the Porsche track in Leeds, Alabama. I went to their school there, and that was an all-day experience of seeing what all the various Porsches can do on a racetrack and on a lot of the different obstacles and things they have. That's what started it, and it just flowed into all these other things. So it was a childhood dream that was made real. It manifested. I think one of my biggest moments was when I got to ride in the car with Mario Andretti at Indy 500, and that was in 2016, and it was, oh my goodness. I remember they let me attach my GoPro camera to his vehicle and, to his car and his Indy car, and we're out there doing 180 miles plus, and I remember like the sun like hit me in my eyes, and I'm looking at the wall, right? Of course, he's not looking at the wall. He's looking at where he wants to go. I'm happy to look at the wall. And I remember saying, wow, if I died right now, this would just be such an amazing experience. Like, it was weird to say it now, to hear myself saying it, but it was, I can't even express the feeling. It was absolutely beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful to know that I was going 180 miles plus per hour, and it didn't feel like it, and it just felt like bliss. I just felt so much peace. I felt connected, and it was just beautiful. So that was a childhood dream. I remember being a little girl, racing on my bicycle and being like the female Mario Andretti, right? I was like Maria Andretti. So that was a childhood dream fulfilled. So, that was something that I pursued. And, post-divorce, I didn't have access to various things, and it's not in my budget. But I believe that I will be realigned with the world of auto racing and that in the future, because it's in my DNA. I remember when I was a little girl, my mom had a Trans Am. It was a 1978, 77, 78 Trans Am, and she used to race every day. We would get off the exit at my school, and I went to a private school. Across the street was another private school, and the father of the daughter who went to that school, he had a Corvette, and my mom used to want a Corvette before she got her Trans Am. And every day they would get off the exit, and it started off as a 2-lane road, but it would immediately narrow down to one. So whoever could reach that point first won. And every single day my mom's Trans Am beat out that Corvette every day. And that was so exciting, because I would have my Frisbee and my mom's she had a little small Dodgers wooden baseball bat. It was a souvenir baseball bat, and every day I would have my Frisbee with my bat, and I would, pretend like I was, driving and racing. So that was a little girl, second and third grade. I just knew that this was something I was going to do. So that was something that I enjoyed experiencing. And, sharing all this, I'm asking you, like, what hobbies do you have, or what hobbies did you used to have in the past that you've probably put on the back burner, or you just let go because you got too busy, too consumed with whatever, with pleasing everyone, blah blah blah. Just think about that. There's an article that was written by Katie Heaney that said that people keep trying to start a hobby, but they can't make it stick. And an article that I was reading, I can't think of the name of the author. I'll try to tell you by the time I'm done sharing this thought. I don't want to lose the thought. But the author had said it's really hard to start a hobby as an adult because it feels unnatural. It feels forced or performative. And so what happens is we try to force ourselves into hobbies we buy things, right? We end up, buying things and thinking that's going to work. But as she wrote in the article, a KitchenAid will not make you like cooking, right? You have to like cooking. You have to love cooking. You can buy all these different appliances and doodads, but it's not going to make you like cooking. So you can like cooking and then enhance your experience by buying the appliances and the doodads to make the cooking experience more enjoyable, faster, efficient. And it is interesting because what she wrote in the article was, it's also hard when the messages about what you should be doing with your leisure time are so incredibly contradictory. You should devote yourself to self-care, but also spend more time on your children and your partner. You should liberate yourself from the need to monetize your hobby, but also have enough money to do the hobby in the first place. And the thing is that how many of us readjust our hobby because, you have children, you have a partner, and so you're trying to bring them into it. It may not work for them. So like, for instance, what I adopted in 2018, 2019 was hiking. I never thought that I would like hiking. I never thought it was an interesting activity in the past, but I fell in love with hiking. And to the point where I was determined that I was going to hike every state park in the state of Georgia. And I went and I got the maps and I started going to a lot of these parks. Well, what ended up happening to me in 2019 is I ended up with a really bad upper respiratory infection that kept me from being able to be outdoors. Because if you know anything about Georgia, it is filled with trees and pollen, and just thinking about it just made me cough. Oh my goodness. And so it shut me down. And then of course, we got hit with COVID 2020, and that was a wrap. It didn't stop me from going hiking, but some of the parks have been shut down for a while. And so later in 2020 I was able to get into some of the parks more, but it still was limitation. And we have to really sit back and then think, like some of you may run, and the writer of this post, this piece that I was reading is a runner and does marathons. And I remember my dad and I were calling ourselves training for a marathon or contemplating a marathon years ago, and excuse me. And seeing I talk about Georgia trees and pollen, and now look at me, I'm over choking and coughing. And I remember my dad and I were like, 26.2 miles, just, not for us. We weren't even interested in it. I think 13.6. Like, good. Half marathon, not good. So that's the reason why I've said my mind has settled on, hey, can I do a triathlon? It's a possibility. I was really strong with, like I said, the cycling. But I have enjoyed the hiking because it has allowed me to tune in and tap into nature and to see the world in a different way. that I don't ever see when I'm just in my normal day to day. And because of that, I have now been more inclined to lean towards gardening. My mom has always been the green thumb, and she actually inspired me to garden. And all of a sudden, when she came to visit, she ended up getting these plants, and I was taking care of the plants, and my nephew was helping. He's 4 years old, helping with these plants. And so here we were. We have our routine where we're watering these plants, and it has inspired me to say that the home that I am looking for, the home that is looking for me, that I cannot wait to plant and harvest an amazing garden of fruits and vegetables, as well as various plants and flowers at my home site, and have that nature element there, which is really interesting because I mentioned hiking and all this, and a lot of things I do outdoors, but I have this weird thing about insects, bees and flies and creepy crawly things and things that bite. I am, you want to see something absolutely horrifyingly humorous. You want to have a comedy special of comedies, is to watch me when something is flying by. It seems like as I've gotten older, my hearing has become more in tuned. It's like I have superhuman hearing now. And so a gnat can fly by and it sounds like a fly. When a fly is zooming by my ear, it sounds like a bee. And when like a bee or, carpenter bee, whenever flies by, it sounds like a darn helicopter. It's just crazy. So, and my friends and family laugh at me. But when we're thinking about our hobbies, as I mentioned earlier about having the money, sometimes some hobbies can be really expensive. You're thinking about skiing, for instance. That can, number one, it takes a long time. Like, it takes a whole day. It's not like something that you do quick. But you need to then have the money for the gear. You need to be able to have the money to pay to go to the various places to ski. So that may not be a consistent hobby that you have. It may be a seasonal hobby that you have, right? And it's like, if you have that resource to be able to devote to that. And I understand that some people don't have the luxury of, and didn't have the luxury of growing up with hobbies, or maybe they didn't see what they were doing as a hobby. And I think that is the thing, right? Is that sometimes you're not understanding that what you're doing is an actual hobby. If you collect things, and like I would collect postcards and keychains. Oh, I would love it if people traveled and they sent me a postcard or brought back a postcard or a keychain. That's all I would want. Like, I don't need all the other stuff. Can you bring me this back? And it's, it's interesting, the romantic relationships I've had in the past, boyfriends and, my ex-husband, they were like, oh, they're going to wherever state or country. I'm like, can you bring me back a postcard or a keychain? They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's all I want. And, you may collect stamps. I used to collect stamps as a little girl. My dad would travel around the world, and what was amazing was that he would always write, and I would take those stamps, but he'd also make sure to bring me back some fresh stamps. And so I used to love collecting stamps. And so it's, my mom, she collects shot glasses. Now here's the interesting thing is my mom does not drink liquor. But she loves these little shot glasses. She loves collecting shot glasses from around the world. So when I would travel, when she travels, when anyone travels, we're like, bring mom a shot glass. She's not going to drink out of it. She just loves collecting them. So, when you think of the hobbies from childhood and growing up, what can you tap into? What brings you joy? What helps you to refresh and recharge and be inspired and helps you to be more positive and optimistic? Like, those are the things that, you really should focus on. The article that I was mentioning about, that I was reading from, her name is Anne Helen Peterson. And this was, let's see if I can find it. It originally appeared on Culture Study, and it was published February 1st, 2020. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Just, those little things that you're like, whoa. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just special in my opinion. So I just wanted to share that with you. And, there's some, excuse me, my uncle's ex-wife, she, one of her hobbies was puzzles, and huge puzzles, like those huge puzzles that'll take up a whole table. She loved puzzles and she loved bingo. And now I know some of you may gamble and understand if it's a risk of going broke. I don't know how much of a hobby that is, more than it could be a vice. So be mindful of that gambling is more of a vice than a hobby. So if I hope that you guys will share with me what hobbies that you used to have that you're reconsidering picking back up, or what new hobbies that you've been pursuing, because I really would love to hear about what you guys are doing and how you're disconnecting and then reconnecting. So, hey, you know what that music is? Let's do some business shout outs. Sound like a plan? All right, got some business shout outs for you. First up, numero uno, I have is Wicked Donuts in Las Vegas. Wicked Donuts, they're created by Chef Robert Teddy. They're located at 9490 West Lake Mead Boulevard in Las Vegas. Their current hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 5:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Friday through Sunday, 5:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can reach them at area code 725-204-8615. That's 725-204-8615. They have these apple fritters the size of your head. I'm not kidding you, they're huge. I gotta make sure I get one for my mom and my nephew because they both love apple fritters. They also have a mojito donut. Can you believe it? Oh, I was like looking like, oh my goodness. And then have you guys ever heard of the puffer nut? It sounds interesting, right? Let me, where did I find it? The puffer nut is a new donut created by Chef Robert. It's inspired by French techniques. And where did it go? I just had it. You guys have to see it. Excuse me. They have all these different flavors that they've created. You have to visit their Instagram at wicked_donuts to check out these donuts. I mean, they'll make you drool. I'm telling you. I was just like, oh my goodness, I was drooling all over the place. Like, can I get to Vegas? I'm not that far away. I can do it. So check out Wicked Donuts. Up next, number 2, we have Detail Garage. The Detail Garage is in the city of Orange in California. They're located at 806 North Tustin Street. Their hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday 11 to 4. They say they have the finest auto detailing supplies. So you got to check them out. I have their information as well for you. Oh, and I'm going to go back to Wicked Donuts in a second because I found their information. But Detail Garage Orange on Instagram. Detail Garage Orange on Instagram. Now let me go back really quick to this puffer nut. So as I said, it's inspired by French techniques, resulting in a crispy, buttery shell and creamy insides filled with your choice of vanilla cream, sweet cream cheese, pumpkin cheesecake, and cannoli cream. And they have other flavors. I just had to go back and tell you that because if you didn't just drool thinking about it, There you go. You're drooling now. I know you are. So, and then last but not least, number 3, the third shout out is the Escape Show. It's a game tailor-made for your group. It's part virtual interactive escape room, part thrilling show, all via Zoom. And they have actors that engage with your team. And I gotta share this with you guys. So how it starts, your team members embark on this fascinating, funny, and challenging virtual journey to solve an exciting mystery regarding your team. So it's about your team. And during the game, you're going to visit special secret websites, and they have riddles and tasks and different hidden puzzles that require online teamwork to solve it. And then you encounter fake social media accounts and lots of other surprises all across the web. And every game is customized for your company, so they have to know about your group. And so you'll get access to a customized game area on their site where you'll answer questions about your team, and it takes about 5 minutes. And then their actors use that information to customize your game storyline. So it's all about you and your team. And then you keep this part of it a secret from your group. So your group is just shocked by, wait a minute, what's going on? So anyway, after you book, you'll receive a Zoom link. And when it's time to join the call, all of you join in, and their actors will join in from there. And then the adventure begins. So their clients include IKEA and FedEx, PayPal, Apple, Coca-Cola, 3M, Wix, Google, Nespresso, Johnson & Johnson, Audi, Intel, HP, and a long list of others. You guys have to check them out. Their website is the letter L.escape -show.com. And their Instagram is the_escape_show. Oh my goodness. Check them out. Have fun with it. Let me know how it was for you and your team. I can't wait to hear. So if you or someone you know could benefit from the added exposure that our business shout out segment provides, reach out to us and share your business information to be considered for an upcoming episode. Visit foremanllc.com/podcast. Oh my goodness. If you guys have done this experience with the Escape show, please let me know. I'm trying to find a way to schedule something so that I can take part in that, because I think it'll be so awesome. So awesome. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I look forward to that. Now, I couldn't remember. There was something that else that I wanted to share, but I couldn't remember what it was. Well, if I remember it next time, if I remember later, I'll take a note of it and share it with you guys for our next episode. But as you can tell, our music is teeing up. It's that time again, folks. It's time to wrap up and go our separate ways until we see each other next. Yes. If you guys have any questions or suggestions about this show, please visit foremanllc.com/podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please rate and review the podcast so that you can share it with others so other people can find us. I'm just tongue-tied today, right? We want to make sure that we give proper credit for our show's theme song. It's called Higher Up, and our business segment song is called Pulsar. Both songs are by the amazing Shane Ivers. I want to leave you guys with 2 quotes. One is from Phyllis McGinley from back in the day. She said, "A hobby a day keeps the doldrums away." And William Osler said, "No man is really happy or safe without a hobby." And of course, back in the day when they would say a man, they meant human, so it applied. Okay? So with that, I hope you guys go out there, embrace your hobbies, and let me know how it goes.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, there's 4 things that we ask of you. First, please leave a rating and review. Second, be sure to connect with us on social media. Third, head over to foremanllc.com/podcast to sign up to our email list. And fourth, Check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in to the Don't Call It Small Business Podcast, for sharing these episodes with others, and for your continued support. And don't forget what we tell you on every episode. Don't call what you're planning, thinking, dreaming, or doing, little or small. Go big, go bold, or go nowhere. We can't wait to reconnect with you soon. See you next time.